Today we got another episode of Archives. If you don't know what this series is, this is where I take a look at some older work that I haven't seen in a long time, talk about the work itself, share a story or two, and everybody seems to really enjoy this series, so I appreciate you guys with all the feedback and giving in your suggestions. But today we're actually looking at some specific photos because on the last episode somebody left a comment asking for specifically photos that I shot with the Mamiya C330, which is a TLR that I used years ago. Haven't seen any of these photos in a long time, so I went through the 2013 and 2014 binders, which was primarily when I owned that camera, and just grabbed a handful of rolls that I shot with that camera, so today we're going to flip through them together. But first I need to take a second and thank our sponsor today for helping us keep the lights on, and that is Skillshare. Skillshare is an amazing online learning community with thousands of classes on just about anything you can think of, but most importantly, they have some amazing photography classes. I've personally taken some great classes on Skillshare from people like Andre Wagner, Steven Vanasco, and Dan Rubin. It's a monthly subscription service and it actually costs less than most online learning platforms do. But if you want to try Skillshare out entirely free, you can get a 2-month free trial if you sign up using the link in the description. Okay, so I have all of these rolls here. I'm pretty sure everything here is Tri-X. Around that time, that is all I was shooting. It was before I had made the switch over to HP5, so a lot of Tri-X today. This was actually the very first roll I put through the C330. The very first frame was of our dog Taker in his nice sweater because he's a cold boy. And right away, that's what I was really excited about using the C330, was having a square format camera that I could actually focus really close with, because the C330 has bellows focusing, which allows you to focus a lot closer. And at the time, my main 6x6 camera was the Hasselblad 500CM, which I love and will always love that camera, but I like shooting up close, and anything with bellows allows me to do that. So the C330 is a really, really great camera for that if you like shooting up close. On that same roll is Liz, Molly's best friend Chelsea, and her husband Craig. They were visiting that day, and they brought Liz, their little Boston Terrier, and she is the sweetest girl. And also, Craig and Chelsea just had their first baby, Alice, so congrats to Craig and Chelsea. Got some portraits in the snow of my friend Galen. I remember that day we shot some color film as well, but this was the only black and white roll that I shot that day. And really like the way these turned out, actually. I haven't seen these in a long time, so that's really cool to see. Some photos from our trip to Louisville. Molly and I went there for the first time back in 2014. Shot some photos on this bridge, just some touristy photos basically. And we also met up with my friend George who lives there, and shot some portraits of him along the river. And I always really liked this one simple headshot. It was nothing fancy, it's just really plain and simple, but I think that's what I like about it. I really prefer a timeless portrait. No gimmicks or trends or anything, you know, over the top. Just a clean, classic portrait. That's one thing that I always try to strive for. And for whatever reason, this frame has always kind of stuck with me. Just some photos around town. Nothing too fancy there. I have a lot of photos of town. Some graffiti. FF. Not sure what that stands for. What would that stand for? Full frame? Is there a photo gang around here? Oh, Molly and the bunnies, Beatrice and Susan. We used to have these two bunnies, but unfortunately a few years ago they got sick and passed away. But they were very sweet, very fat. Some photos of Rusey and Taker. Oh, this one of Rusey yawning. I remember Molly begged me to make a print of this, and I think she just wanted a small print just because it's a ridiculous photo of Rusey. And I ended up just making a massive 16x20 without telling her in the dark room. And she came home from work and I had that waiting for her. So I actually still have that print framed in our basement. This one, oh, this is actually Tri-X pushed to 3200, and some of it is outside too. So some Molly in the snow out there, but then also some of Taker in this sort of dappled light as it was coming in through the blinds. And this actually held up really well in that kind of light, you know, pushed to 3200. That's pretty clean. So inevitably, looking through all of these photos, it really makes me miss shooting with the C330. Just being able to focus that close with a TLR. Normally, if you were using like a Yashica matte or a Rolleiflex, you'd have to use the close-up filters. But having that bellows focusing, being able to focus that close, it's a great system. People really sleep on that camera just because it's a lot bigger and it doesn't, you know, maybe to some people it doesn't have that classic look that, you know, the Rolleiflex or the Yashica does, but, you know, you can change lenses on that camera, which usually on a TLR you can't do that. There's a lot of pros to the Mamiya TLRs, so definitely check those out if you'd like to be able to focus up closer. And it's not just the C330; they have other cameras as well that you could probably find for even cheaper. Maybe some of the older ones, but Mamiya glass is amazing, and that camera is just a joy to use. So that is going to do it for this episode of Archives, though. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions or comments about this, I'd love to hear it down below. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, the easiest way to do that is subscribe. But if you'd like to support on Patreon, I'm going to put a link in the description to that. Huge thanks to everybody already on Patreon. I launched it at the beginning of the year, and the support has been amazing. I have decided to go full-time on YouTube and photography, so I really appreciate the support there, and I'm only able to do that because of you guys. So I am greatly, greatly thankful for that. As far as some of the things we do on Patreon, we have monthly live streams, we have prints being sent out, we also have a private Facebook group that we've just started doing photo assignments in. So what the plan is to have a theme for every single month. We all shoot photos, myself included. At the end of the month, we share the work that fits that theme, we have a critique and discussion on it, and then move on to the next project. Really cool stuff. I'm excited about that. So thank you to everybody on Patreon. I've really been having a lot of fun with that. So if you're interested, links in the description. Again, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.